Hold it is, friends. The holiness of a Jew working in the Holy Land is with our very hands we make the land more holy. When we work for 6 years, you know what happens? And the 7th year, this holiness which we put in, a Yidala was plowing the field, a Yidala was putting in a little flower in his garden in Ramat Gan. You think nothing happens to the Holy Land? The Holy Land becomes more holy. You see, the land is so holy, with my hands I make it more holy. Unbelievable. And when am I tasting this holiness? In the 7th year. Just remember, it says, Kedoshim ti, you be holy like everybody else. When it says, Ish ima v'oriv tero, the holiness, the awesomeness of mother and father, they are teaching you the holiness of just you. And when are you tasting it? It says, on Shabbos you're tasting it. On Shabbos you're tasting this holiness which God gave you, like on the level God gave it to you, and also you taste this individuality you have, this just you, on the level of prayer. You know what it is when you love somebody? Even that holiness which God gave them, just them, can be made stronger and deeper in the most unbelievable way. You know what that means? That prayers is not to fix everything, to make it back the way it was created, to fix the world the way it was created. You understand? When God created the world was perfect. We obviously messed it up a little bit. So then we think with prayer we fix it again like it should be as good as when it was created. This isn't where it's at. The holiness is, you think parents are just good enough to keep the baby, it should be as holy as when it was born, which is a very high level. I wish it would be as holy as on the day we were born. This is nothing, for that you have teachers. Parents are to make you more holy. And this is what Shabbos is all about. Let me tell you something, you know. Here I have a little land, right? Imagine I had a little field outside the Tzfas, right? So somebody were to tell me, you know, that this land has, this little field has something special holy, which nothing in the Holy Land has, I'm crazy. But it's true, right? Because every little piece of land has some holiness which another piece of land does not have. And you know to whom it is revealed? To the owner of that little land. Now listen to the utmost deepest depths. You know what ownership means in the Holy Land? Not if you pay money for it, not if you work in the Holy Land. It was given to you from God, Mamish, was given to this holy tribe. You know what that means? That God is revealing to this tribe the holiness of that little piece of land they're living on. And now listen to this. In the 7th year, God is revealing to us the holiness of the whole land. In the 50th year, when God is revealing, Mamish, the holiness of every little piece of land, it has to be in the hands of the owner of that tribe, because the other one wouldn't know. So it says everything goes back to the tribe. Okay, now listen. Pesach Sheni is a holiday. You know how it came about? Because somebody died. Why do people die? Because Eve and Adam did not know how to handle it, right? Because Adam and Eve did not know the holiness they didn't know the teaching of the 9 months. Because otherwise they would know what to do with each other. So Pesach Sheni is the utmost fixing of this Torah, of the 9 months. And this is not given to the community, to all of Israel. This is just one Yiddelin. This is the highest revelation between you and God, which cannot be given to all of Israel. It's just you. And on Pesach Sheni, we are mamish fixing the holiness between Adam and Eve. And we are fixing mamish everything. So l'chaim, we should be holy fixes. Pesach Sheni should mamish open gates for us. Chaim, Mazel Tov, Yom Tov. It's my guitar. Hi. Call me, yeah? have to share one more thing with you. You want to say something strong now? Okay, I'll knock it off first.
Knock it off slow?
No, I'll knock it off slow. Why was it just Joseph HaTzadik? Why is Yosef HaTzadik the great fixer of Pesach Sheni? Yosef HaTzadik is a great fixer of Pesach Sheni because Yosef HaTzadik, if you remember, the whole thing is crazy, right? Suddenly the brothers of Joseph hate their own brother and they sell him. It's crazy, right? How is it possible in the house of Jacob, which Mamish holier than the holy temple? How is it possible? Hatred doesn't go in there. But if you remember, I don't want to go into now, but maybe some of you remember, Joseph HaTzadik knew, everybody knew by prophecy that the Jews have to become slaves in Egypt, right? So Yosef HaTzadik was praying to God, asking God, please, let my brothers off, let me do the whole thing. Let it just be I. Just I. And obviously he was praying so hard and God listened to him. So he was the first one, and he mamish paved the way. Let's put it this way, you know. I'll tell you something. Imagine a house is very dark and I have to go in there. I don't want to go in there. Someone who I love very much says, listen, I have to go to this house, I want you to go with me. Now listen to this. It's a very high level to walk in together, right? But this is not the level of Yosef HaTzadik. Yosef HaTzadik says, I'm going in first. And you see, the holiness is, if you go in first, Gevald, are you filled with light. God gives you light like unbelievable. Unbelievable. Yosef HaTzadik says to God, let me be the first one to go into darkness. So everybody knows that Yosef HaTzadik's level is, Sheila is, wie ist der Luschen dort? Bereue? Was ist der Luschen dort in the Mishnah? B'cholarei. Listen to this. Listen to this, very strong. Everybody knows that the Holy Temple is built, the land belongs to the tribe of Judah. And everybody also knows that the little Holy Temple, the Mishkan Shiloh, before that, was a little tabernacle in the land of Yosef HaTzadik. Now listen to this. In the Holy Temple, Yerushalayim, it's only holy within the walls. But Shiloh is as far as you can see Shiloh. You can be 2,000 miles away. If you can see Shiloh from there, that's it. This is where it is, right? As long as you can see it. See, Yosef HaTzadik was the first one to go into darkness for somebody else. Then his light is shining as long as you can see, as far as you can see. So Yosef HaTzadik is the one, Yosef HaTzadik, the one who's going in first. And I'll tell you something very, very deep. Utmost depth. And again, listen to me, friends. Imagine a son or a daughter calls up a father, you know, I blew my mind on drugs, I'm down, I'm at the end, please come and help me. And the father and the mother mamish to come and help the baby. They're ready to go down to the lowest depths. Very high. But imagine if the son or this boy would be so close to the parents that they would say, you know something, I have a feeling I'm going down. And the father and the mother would say, you know, I'm going first. You go after me. That's the highest. Right? This mamish loving. Now listen to this. What was wrong with Adam and Eve? It's very beautiful. Eve came to Adam after she rolled down to the lowest depth. She comes to her husband and says, you know, I'm rolling down. Can you please go with me? I'm afraid to go alone to the darkest depths. But imagine if Eve would have known that Adam loves us so much that he'll taste it first. Right? Obviously, she was not 100% sure. You know. She was taking a risk. Imagine if Adam would have told her, I love you so much, I'll go first. Let me go first. So Yosef HaTzadik is the one who is fixing that utmost by saying, I'm going first. So Pesach Sheni, if you remember, Pesach Sheni was at the people who carried the holy body of Yosef Atzadik who were defiled. They came to Moshe and they said, please, give us a Pesach Sheni. And Pesach Sheni was brought down by Yosef Atzadik. This is going first. And I want to share this with you again. The first Pesach is that I am in my house, I fix my house, and there's no bread in my house, and then I go to the Holy Temple. Can you imagine Pesach Sheni, the level is that I fix, God says I'm going first? You can have chometz in your house, but God says take out the matzah, take out the chometz from the Holy Temple. Why? It's just in the Holy Temple, not in your house. Means God says I'm going in first. And after we learn those two holinesses, the holiness of God as God who's making us holy, and the high priest who's teaching us how holy you are when you're not holy. You see, there's Moshe and Aaron. Moshe is teaching you how holy you are when you're holy. Aaron is teaching you how holy you are when you're not holy. Moshe is teaching you how much you are alive when you're alive. Aaron is teaching you how much you're alive when you're dead.
Just was thinking, we learned last week, the week before, that every person's got something special which is holy, something special which is rotten, which is broken. So, you see, I was thinking, in order to fix someone else, right, in order to go with them, it's not enough for you to know what's special about them. You have to know what's terrible about yourself. If you have to connect that part of you which is broken in you, which is destroyed in you, to them. Then you completely like them. Then you can lift them up. So, like, we learn what's special about us, what's good about us, maybe from Moshe Rabbeinu, from the Torah. You learn that part of you which needs fixing most, which is most destroyed in you, when you meet someone who's completely removed from holiness, completely broken. You learn it from that person. You see, I would say, like you were talking about why Pesach Sheni, the house can have chametz, right? Because you see, why do we need to search the house before Pesach? So you were saying the whole Ishbitz of Torah, in order to find out, to look into the crevices of my soul, to find out what's wrong with me. Right? But by Pesach Sheni, you don't need to do that. You know that already. That's where Pesach Sheni begins, because you were defiled already. That's the strength of Pesach Sheni.
How come there's no chometz in the Holy Temple at that moment?
Who says there isn't? Maybe there is.
The
Beis HaMikdash, you know.
I'm not bringing chometz with my...
Beis HaMikdash itself.
But you're right, it's very strong what you say. Very strong.
See, the Bible saying, like, when you meet, like, this person, right? It's like Shlomo was saying, you meet someone who doesn't believe in God, right? So Shlomo was saying, how do I lift that person up? If for one moment I say to God, listen, if you don't set me up, that through me this person should know there's a God, I'll start believing in you also. Right? So you can't fake that. You're not going to put on an act. It means through this person, like this, you are given to see that there's a little bit in you also that doesn't believe in God, and you lift yourself and this person up together. Understand? So using that as the example, you learn that when you meet that person. And you fix that simultaneously. So you can extend it to anything.
What happens if you get out to those levels and not help someone, if you get stuck down there?
I tell you, this is the whole thing of Pesach Sheni. They got stuck with the bones of Joseph. You come running and say, please God, you got to do it. That's the holiness of Pesach Sheni. That God gives me a special time, is what I have to ask for it. If I'm stuck and I'm liking it, it's a bad scene, right? The sad thing is that most people get stuck and they begin to like it. But I tell you something, Lenny, the question is better than my answer. I don't know. I want to add something to what you say, which was very strong. You see, I thought that what is good about me, I can learn from the Torah. What's bad about me, my parents have to teach me. And the holiness of a father and a mother, mamish, like going to the mikveh after becoming defiled, is because God is revealing to them also about the child how bad it is. And it's so awesome, this teaching. I got to run to the mikveh. You see, basically, obviously, you're right, you know. If God is teaching the mother and the father what's special about the baby, also God is teaching them what's special. And we were learning it. You know, I don't want to go into now, maybe remind me now, because there's the whole Torah of the Ishbitzer, that the fixing of a person is when you connect that which is special about you holy to that which is special about you unholy. If you keep them separate, you'll never fix yourself. And this is what most of us do, you know. I'm a little bit good in this, I'm a little bit bad in that. So mazel tov. So nothing happens, right? And the truth is that the medicine for my special ugliness is if I take this which is special beautiful about me and like put it together, right? Like if God forbid I cut my hand, you know, I got to put the medicine on my hand, not on my foot. Yes.
I think another connection is to be aware is you can't change that which is unholy unless you have awareness. And then just being knowledgeable of this connection makes you want to work at it. That is the bridge. Just talking about this and that, but having awareness brings it to fruition and working at it makes it.
You're 2,000% right, my friend, 100%. Can I tell you just one more thing? Forgive me. I was thinking of it the whole week. Obviously, for me to be a complete person, I have to be connected really in the utmost way to my creation. This is the holiness of my father and my mother. They teach me. Through them, I'm connected to my own creation. Let's say something way out. Adam was created by God, right? But if he would have been connected utmost to his creation, the snake would not come and say to him, you're God. He would know I'm created. But it's so awesome to be created by God that you forget maybe you're created. So the holiness of mother and father is that mamish, they give you the holiness of your creation. And the holiness of creation is so deep. And on Shabbos, the holiness of Shabbos is that connects you to the creation of heaven and earth. So I have to know the holiness of my life, the awesomeness of my creation, and then Shabbos is both holy and awesome and deep and beautiful and bliss of the whole creation, entire creation. And again, if I just can repeat myself what I told you last week a little bit, holy means that it was worth it to be created, and it was worth it for God to create heaven and earth, for me to do what I'm doing, that's called a holy act. Holy means if everything was worth it just for me to do this one thing. A holy word is that God had to create heaven and earth, my parents had to create me, and the whole world had to go through everything they did for me to say this one word. And I want to share something very deep with you. How do you know when you love somebody very much? It's very simple. Imagine today's, what's today? Tuesday, certain day, right? Then I meet somebody, and I realize that unless I would have gone through everything which happened in my life, I would not been able really to connect to you. Such a high meeting, right? But if it's so, I could have met you 20 years ago, but so happened I meet you now. It's very beautiful. It's not wet. This is not holy. It's good. Holy means that it just had to be now, because before it couldn't have happened. What's Mount Sinai? You think God took us together and said, listen, I have a free weekend, I'm looking at my calendar. God says, I'm very busy, I don't want to brag, but God, other things to do. But on that weekend, the 6th of Sivan, I see an opening, and Brother Mo, how about you? And Moses says to the children of Israel, are you ready for a little weekend time on Sinai? I said, oh, brother. We just called up UJA, there's no appeal on that Shabbos, we have time, and the bond is going strong, So we have time on that weekend, You know what it is? Everything had to happen before. The flood had to be. The Tower of Babylon, the slavery in Egypt, everything had to be, the Red Sea. Every moment was important. And you know what we are learning after Pesach, between Pesach and Shavuos? We are learning not only we have to count the days, we are realizing that unless every moment is, I wouldn't be ready for Mount Sinai. And this is what I'm learning first when I get out of Egypt. Because before Egypt I thought, okay, things are happening, good. Right now I realize for the first day, it couldn't have happened yesterday, it has to be today. Then I realized, it gotta be today because yesterday I wasn't ready. And can you imagine how awesome it is to be mother and father, to teach your child? You had to be born now, or it had to be just now, otherwise you wouldn't know. And I'll tell you something else, something even deeper. Gotta go and come back. I want to share something utmost depths with you. Remember, Torah is the Alika Torah. The Holy Alika says everybody knows that a person has three partners: mother, father, and God. And the Alika says sometimes I look at my parents, they're creeps. So how can I respect them? So the Alika says, imagine for 1 minute they were partners with God. Can you imagine how holy? What a mind-blowing holiness. And you know what it means? That moment when mother and father and God got together, it couldn't have been before. It had to be that night, which is mind-blowing. I want to share something deeper steps with you. The difference between today bringing a baby to the world and the creation of the world, because everybody says, why was the world created 5,736 years? Why wasn't it created before? Everybody says, but the answer is very simple. Because the whole idea of time was a part of creation, right? Before God created all, there was no time. So you can ask, what's before, after? The whole question of before, after is only after creation, right? Because time is also creation. But I want to share something deeper with you. What happened before creation is very holy, very special, but it's not on that level, it couldn't have been before. So God created the world. After creation, that awesome holiness of after creation is, it had to be then. Maybe Adam could have been created also at another time. He could. It had to be on the 6th day, right? It had to be on the 6th day, 12 o'clock. And the awesomeness of what parents give over to children, this awesomeness, you were born, you were created at this time. You know what it means? Now you've got to be in this world. Now. And you know what it means? That everything I'm doing in my life has to be connected to everything there is. Awesomeness. You see, when the God says be holy, I can be holy without being connected. I'm a holy either. I'm putting on film, I'm serving God, I'm sitting in a desert, I'm meditating day and night, I'm okay, I'm holy. But for that you didn't need mother and father, for that you don't need Shabbos. The holiness of mother and father and Shabbos is connected, it has to be just now. Just now. And again, I want you to know, this is the Torah of the 9 months, maybe. Why my soul had to be right now in this world, my Rebbe can't tell me. And no book in the world can tell me that. This is the teaching which God gives me during the 9 months of my being created, which is the highest Torah. And I want you to know something. You know what Pesach Sheni is? Pesach Sheni is, obviously I was not connected to time. Because the time for this was on the 14th day of Nisan. And Rabbi Shema goofed up, I was not there. I was not there, I was not at the right moment, at the right place. Pesach Sheni is when God gives me this connection again, to be at the right place at the right moment. You know what it means to be young or to be old? Tell you. To be young means to know that it has to be right now in this generation, at this time, that's when I can do it. If I'm old, whatever I do, I could have done 2,000 years ago also, right? If I'm on the level of old. On the level of young means it couldn't have been just now, right? Gotta be now. But you know, God forbid, you know what it means to die? To die means I'm so old that I'm absolutely disconnected from time, right? Or I give up being connected. You know, the Ishmael says, you know, God forbid, why we die? Because we gave up. We gave up being connected. And Pesach Sheni is Mamish, I don't give up.
Maybe this one, all the men, all the Gevald of the count dies.
Yeah, that's very strong. Probably strong.
Saying all those who are defiled, they have to count days. They have to connect themselves to time again.
Yeah, it's a very strong thing. If you couldn't hear
When a person is tamei, when he's defiled, so the purification involves counting days, 1 day, or 3 days, or 7 days. What Shlomo was saying is, because to be defiled is when whatever I'm doing could have been before, could have been after. It's not connected with life at this moment. So I re-establish the connection by discovering time again.
Obviously, how could it not be? Anything which has to do with the whole world, you know. I'm talking about an individual on the level of the whole world, it's such an earth-shaking thing, obviously. Right? But again, for us who are alive, unless whatever I do is also connected to whatever happened before, then I'm not with it. If whatever I do I could have done before the Holocaust, then I'm not doing anything, right? Because God created me after, and I'm in this world. Obviously, it has to be connected to it. And let's say if my being in this world has nothing to do with Israel, Yerushalayim, with the holy city, so I could have lived 500 years ago in Kostelivka also. Unless it has to do with right now, with this minute. Yeah, tell me. Say it again, what? Why? This is such a deep question. I don't know. Listen, darling, this is a question which has no answer until Mashiach is coming. I don't know. I'll tell you something very deep. If I would know all the answers, I would be God, right? And it would be, what is it good? There's one God, you don't need another God, right? I always say, if you have one God, you have so much trouble. Imagine we had two gods. Yeah, what do you say, brother?
What about learning and studying scholarship? How do you put that in having to fit now that I've learned this concept?
Yeah.
And when I learn something, I latch into the eternal, and I get the idea that I could have learned it 1,000 years ago.
Yeah. You know, brother, you're mamish on top, really. You see what it is, which I was trying to say before, but didn't have the right words, and you mamish put it right there. There's Mount Sinai teaching, and there's this 9 months teaching which is given to every individual. During the time when you're created, God is teaching you for 9 months. Obviously, I tell you something very deep. Anything you're learning, let's put it this way. Sometimes you're learning something and it doesn't mean anything to you. Sometimes you're learning something, or let's put it this way. I'll tell you what happened to me personally. Okay, I'm very strong in Ishbitze right now. I'm a little bit. Not that I understand it, but I'm a little bit, I will not dare say understanding it, but at least I'm connected to the letters. Let's put it this way. When I was learning Yeshiva in Lakewood, I bought this Holy Ishbitze Sefer. I read it, I learned it, put it back. It was so bad that I wanted to give it back to the book dealer. You know? Many years later, one Shabbos, Friday night, I picked up the book, and suddenly the words began dancing before my eyes. That means learning also, everything is at a particular time. And the acid test is, if it turns you on, that means you were learning it at the right time. And if you learn something and it doesn't turn you on, that means you weren't learning it at the right time. So forget it. Don't cry over it. Learn something else. You see, the Gemara says you have to learn Mokum Shaliba Chofetz. You know, that means at this moment you have to be drawn to it. You know, it's a very strong thing, you know. Sometimes, I'll tell you something, I'm sure you feel the same way. I feel it every Shabbos. One Shabbos I'm drawn to this book, one Shabbos I'm drawn to this book, you know. One Shabbos I feel drawn to this story, another Shabbos another story. And this is time, and this is what God was teaching you during your 9 months. And you see, I tell you something even stronger. Maybe a teacher can allow himself to teach you anything which has to do on the level of eternity. A mother and a father, unless they teach you what you need right now, they are bad parents. They're not doing their job. I want to share something very deep with you. We're talking a lot of times. You know what the secret of parents is? Parents are the first one in the world who have the awesomeness of telling you no. Yes doesn't take much. No. What an awesome teaching. Because no means I'm cutting you off. You want something, and I say, listen, you can't do it. Because you know, in heaven, angels never hear the word no. Because an angel only wants what God wants anyway, right? They have no problems with no. We human beings have troubles with no. Our biggest problem, right? Obviously, God says to Adam, don't eat the forbidden fruit. He couldn't stomach this one no, right? One no, he couldn't stomach. And we have 365 no's. And even more no's with no problem, right? Everybody has to say no to himself. And I'll tell you something very strong. The future of a baby depends how it is taught the no. But if it's taught no in an ugly way, it will run out of paradise in 2 seconds. It says, I don't want paradise, I don't need the no. Or you can teach the no on such a high level, such a sweet way, that it's mamish yes. You know, I was learning with some of the kids, you know. Let's say my baby, sometimes she wants to take a knife. So I can tell her, no, don't take the knife. Or I can tell her, you know, baby, yes, the knife is not good for you. Yes, don't take it. I can tell her, no, don't carry on Shabbos. Or I can tell her, you know, yes, it's true, you're not permitted to carry on Shabbos. So, the thing is, parents It's awesome, you know. It says, Ish immer v'oviv teror. The awesomeness of parents is that they have to teach you the no. And the no has to be at the right time. You know, I know myself, you know. Imagine sometimes a baby can do wrong. And maybe while this baby did wrong, now is not the time to tell the baby that did wrong. Because he'll cut it off too much. Okay, you did wrong. Mazel tov. You have to know exactly when to tell the baby. You see, the yes is also important. But time is not that important when it comes to yes. The no is awesome with time. Awesome. So I would say again, you know, like you can say Kedoshim Tiyu is the holiness of yes, doing. Immer v'ov teror is mamish, not holy, it's awesome, the no. And Shabbos is both Shabbases, you know, the yes and the no. Time is to say bad things. Okay, friends, you know, we got to count the Omer. Can we all stand up and mamish get together strong, make a strongest circle ever was? Oh, 1 second, friends, I have to tell you something very, very utmost important. The saddest thing is, or the most beautiful thing is, next week is Lag BaOmer, and I have a wedding Boshem in Montreal. The week after that, I'll be in San Francisco. So the coming 2 weeks, there will be no Tuesday. But June 1st and June 8th, we'll meet again, yes? June 1st and June 8th. In the meantime, what you want to invite them to your Thursday night to be strong, tell them. In the meantime, please don't disconnect yourself from learning. Meryl has it as teaching every Thursday night. Tell them what it is.
1721 Avenue J. Brooklyn. 1721 Avenue J.
Also something very important, Shoshana, you want to tell them again about the retreat today?
There's going to be a retreat.